WAPT News live at 5.
Right now, Donald Trump in the capital city. A massive rally at the Coliseum just hours away. Plus, dump truck river search. No sign of a missing man 24 hours after he vanished into the Mississippi River. And what a peeping Tom suspect had to say during his first day in court. Well, we are 2 hours away from Donald Trump's rally. Hundreds of people were lined up at the Mississippi Coliseum waiting to hear from the GOP nominee for president. They just minutes ago let that crowd inside there. Some people still waiting outside to get in there at the state fairgrounds. I'm Megan West.
And I'm Tammy Eswick. Megan, we have a live camera inside of that venue at the Mississippi Coliseum right now. People are already scrambling for their spots inside just to be a part of history. But let's start our team coverage outside of Mississippi Coliseum in downtown Jackson with our own 16 WAPT's Ross Adams. Ross, you're in the middle of the crowd.
Well, if you saw that shot inside the Coliseum, you can see the thousands and thousands of people who've already taken their seats outside. We can see the stragglers, the last folks who are in line, preparing to go in to hear Donald Trump speak at this huge rally. And, you know, in some ways, it feels like we're at the airport because they have TSA agents actually going through bags and purses to make sure that the spectators don't take in any restricted items, no handguns, obviously no weapons, no umbrellas, and there's a list of restricted items that folks will not be able to take inside the Coliseum for tonight's rally. Now, before they open the doors, you could see on both sides of the Coliseum, there were long lines as far as the eye could see stretched all around this facility, and there are a lot of enthusiastic Donald Trump supporters from all over the Southeast. Here's somebody from the Gulf Coast with a huge pink, what they're calling the Trump mobile. We spoke with the driver of that contraption a short time ago. She's got it outfitted with all kinds of Trump posters and some of the famous sayings that have really motivated a lot of Trump supporters from across the country in the last year or so. But again, Donald Trump right now attending a high-dollar fundraiser at the convention complex is expected here around 7 o'clock to take center stage for, again, an enthusiastic group of supporters who want to hear him say once again that he wants to make America great again. For now, we're live at the Mississippi Coliseum. Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
All right, Ross, thanks so much. TSA agents checking those bags at the Coliseum. Well, earlier today, the Mississippi NAACP had a press conference to denounce Donald Trump.
We should not, as a state, as a country, tolerate demagogues that fuel hate.
He has to.
NAACP President Derek Johnson and Congressman Benny Thompson both say they do not expect much minority support at the rally in Jackson. They say it's because of Trump's remarks over the past year.
Whether that hate be hatred of the past, racism that this state know all too well, whether that hate be xenophobia or hatred towards women, we stand here to say we must make a better decision for our future.
If David Duke decides that he's inspired by your campaign so that he's going to run for the Senate and you don't disavow that, if the head of the Ku Klux Klan in Virginia endorses your candidacy and you don't disavow that, then something's wrong with you as a person.
Well, Thompson told us he did not expect any violence or protest problems at the rally tonight. Well, the Trump rally traffic in the metro actually is a mess, Megan.
Tammy, in fact, traffic already held Donald Trump up at the airport. 16 WAPT's Scott Simmons is live there tonight. Scott?
Yeah, some delays on the interstates as Donald Trump left the airport here about 10 minutes till 5. There was delayed, though, because of a traffic problem already on I-20. He touched down here at the airport at 4 o'clock, but then sat on the tarmac for almost 50 minutes while JPD, State Police, and Secret Service waited for that accident to be cleared. The rally took delayed traffic because the police stopped all lanes on both sides of the interstate as he went from Airport Road to 20 over to 55, and then a number of the streets in Jackson were closed down so Donald Trump could pull into the convention center for that event at 6 o'clock. The return trip is expected to have a big impact on traffic as well. The best guess is it could be somewhere between 9 and 9:30 when Donald Trump tries to move back from the Jackson Coliseum into the airport. So that should be about 9 and 9:30, and they'll be blocking down both sides of 55 and 20 as he returns for his departure here from the Jackson Airport. At the airport, Scott Simmons, 16 WAPT News.
Yeah, Scott, thank you. Want to go over that traffic information about tonight that Scott was just giving us. When Donald Trump leaves tonight, the Secret Service will shut down I-55 from Lakeland Drive to the Stack. And as Scott mentioned, I-20 from 220 to Highway 475. So MDOT is telling us that if you need to be out this evening, you should take 220 from I-20 to I-55 and Highway 80 instead of I-20 and Lakeland Drive. And if you want to stay home and see what is going on inside the Coliseum during this rally, we can help you with that. We'll be live streaming that rally on our 16 WAPT Facebook page and on our website. One easy way to see it is download the 16 WAPT mobile app. Now let's get a check of the weather with Chief Meteorologist David Hartman.
Miserable heat and humidity today. We were in the mid-90s. 95 was the high today, but we had some splash and dash storms move through the Jackson immediate downtown and city area about an hour ago, and those storms are moving off to the west, and they're going to build over towards the Mississippi River. So Port Gibson northward to Vicksburg, some storms headed your way. I'll talk about this heat coming up.
Okay, David, thank you. Now to another developing story tonight. It has been almost 24 hours since a dump truck driver disappeared along with his truck into the Mississippi River. Since then, dive crews have recovered his truck, but as 16 WAPT's Ann Parker reports, that worker is still missing.
I ain't been able to sleep. It's just been hard.
Family and friends spent hours on scene overnight after a 22-year-old dump truck driver disappeared when his truck rolled backwards into the Mississippi River.
Fine young man. You know, I wish I could trade places.
Lewis Miller is the owner of Riverside Construction Company. He says the driver's name is Michael Collins. Miller says Collins was at the top of a gravel pile trying to load his dump truck.
For some reason, his truck and him went down the hill very fast, made a hard right turn, and didn't even go close to the ramp. Just went off down the slope into the water and just gone.
Specialized dive teams found that truck hours later, submerged 40 feet deep.
The truck is sitting upright on the wheels. It didn't turn over.
But 20 hours later, Collins was nowhere to be found.
This is the deep run through this part of the country. So we're searching everywhere on the bank, any floating debris, anything in the water, which is typical of how we do a drowning search in the river.
I hope they find him. I hope they find him alive.
Is there any way what happened could have been prevented, or was it just a freak accident?
It's a good wide area, very wide ramps. You know, the ramp are probably about 15 foot wide, wider than the highway where you're passing each other on, you know. So, and they got railing on the side, so it's just, we just don't know right now.
Sheriff Pace says this is an around-the-clock search and recovery effort. In Vicksburg, Ann Parker, 16 WAPT News.
And employees say Collins had been working for that company for several years, and they say he was an experienced truck driver. On New Tonight, Tammy, the man accused of peeping on a 9-year-old girl in court today.
Yeah, we spoke to that suspect after court, Megan, and he told us he just didn't do it.
What do you feel about your charges?
Well, I think he is innocent until proven guilty, sir. So we'll let the court decide that.
Yeah, that was Chad Dodds as he left Canton Municipal Court this morning. Prosecutors accused Dodds of following a 9-year-old girl into the women's bathroom in Walmart, then peering through a crack in a stall. He's now facing 1 count of voyeurism. A judge gave him a $350,000 bond. Well, a federal judge sentenced a Mississippi man to 8 years in prison for trying to join ISIS. Muhammad Dakala pleaded guilty in March. FBI agents say he and his fiancée, Jalen Young, tried to join ISIS last year. A federal judge sentenced Young to 12 years in prison. Federal agents say she was the mastermind behind their plan. Dakala also faces a $250,000 fine, $250,000 in fines and lifetime probation. Well, traffic all but shut down near Terry Road today. Take a look at why. This is when one man tried to jump off the Interstate 20 overpass. We actually put an arrow in the spot where the guy is because it was hard to get a really good look at him. And when our crew got to the scene, we found emergency crews surrounding that man. The good news is that he did not jump. Crews were able to get him to the hospital and get him checked out. And Megan, that was not the only issue on Interstate 20 today.
Absolutely not, Tammy. A dump truck rear-ended a car there. This happened this morning before 8:30 in the eastbound lanes. As you can imagine, caused a big backup during the morning commute. Congressman Benny Thompson is reacting to the arrest of one of his top aides. The IRS says Thompson's chief of staff, Isaac Avant, didn't file his taxes for 5 years in a row. Thompson says he's heard the reports and he's spoken to Avant.
He tells me that what was portrayed is not the truth. I have no reason not to believe it. And I will give him, like I would anybody else, an opportunity to have their day before whatever the tribunal is to prove their side.
Avant faces up to a year in prison on each count if he's convicted. Congressman Thompson says he won't make a decision on Avant's job unless he is convicted. We are now 75 days away from the general election. Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton is facing mounting criticism over her family's charitable foundation and the latest batch of emails from her personal server. 16 WAPT's Sally Kidd is in Washington with the latest.
Hillary Clinton has no immediate plans to publicly address the controversy, but her campaign has had to ramp up its defense of Clinton and the perception that she has something to hide. Poll after poll shows Hillary Clinton has a trust problem, a perception she's worked for years to change.
People should and do trust me. I fully complied with every rule that I was governed by.
But that's not how it looks to those who doubt her explanations about her personal email server, about the 15,000 emails she did not turn over to the FBI, and whether she used her position as Secretary of State to benefit donors to the Clinton Foundation.
She sold favors and access. Hillary Clinton thinks she's above the law.
Donald Trump hoping that narrative will stick and hoping to keep the heat on Clinton and the focus off troubles with his own campaign.
Before you go about attacking a charity, why don't you come clean about your own business dealings and tell the American people who you are in debt to?
While Clinton has been dominating the polls, new surveys in some swing states are tightening, and analysts say the Clinton Foundation controversy could be a turning point.
The Clinton campaign has done a very poor job of defending itself, but also describing the good works around the world that the Clinton Foundation is responsible for.
Among its accomplishments, the foundation says it has provided life-saving AIDS drugs to more than 11 million people around the globe. In Washington, I'm Sally Kidd.
Now, in spite of these latest controversies, Clinton is maintaining her lead over Donald Trump in the latest national polls. Well, ACT scores across Mississippi dropped this year. The average score went from a 19 down to an 18.4. That's more than 2 points below the national average. This was the first year that all Mississippi high school students took the ACT. MEMA is now considering using money from a Katrina fund to help the flooding victims in Crosby and Centerville. They are talking about taking $250,000 from the Katrina Cottage Fund to fix some of the homes damaged by this flooding. The state emergency agency says they're exploring several options since Mississippi didn't qualify for FEMA flooding aid. And some local high school students are using their rivalry football game to help out flood victims. Cole Crotwell and Tanner McCraney are juniors at Jackson Prep. They together have raised more than $2,000 for the Red Cross so far. And now they're challenging Jackson Academy to raise even more than that during their big football game Friday.
After I texted Cole, he was like, let's do it. And we went to Colonel Merrill, and we got it together, called Red Cross, and they were happy for us to do it.
We are challenging JA to raise more money than us, and this, really the only time that we want JA to beat Prep.
I love that rivalry. Now, there will be some Red Cross collection stations set up at the football game to take donations at the JA Prep game this week. All right, David, how are we doing out there?
It happened again.
It sure did.
It rained at the station. You know,
can't get rid of it.
There was hardly anything on radar, but it was Gully Washer Central right here. Well, I'll show you radar coming up. I'll show you who's going to get it. But really, the oppressive heat and humidity is on, and there is no relief in sight. Lots to talk about when I come back.
As we had a break, want to give you another live look at the Mississippi Coliseum. You can tell from the cars in the parking lot, they have a packed house. And hey, certainly from this shot inside, some of these people waited hours to get in there. Donald Trump slated to take the stage in less than 2 hours. Also, over 100 people killed in an earthquake in Italy. Crews are still searching the rubble for survivors tonight. We'll have the very latest on these recovery efforts. You're watching 16 WAPT News, live at 5.
This is 16 WAPT News, live at 5. The one to watch.
Just a few showers or thunderstorms out there. Again, so much moisture in the air. These thunderstorms very efficient at dropping a lot of rain in a short period of time. I'll show you why the storms in a minute are moving from east to west. They did the same thing yesterday. The storms that went through the immediate Jackson metro area now moving into Warren, Jefferson, and Claiborne counties as they drift off. A lot of good lightning with them. So the shower line has moved through the Jackson metro area off to the west. Still can see an isolated pop-up shower. Nothing big, but it's kind of cleared out there. And there you can see where the downpours were. Very efficient. Where you see green, that is at least an inch of rain that fell. So plenty of gully washers across the immediate Jackson metro area. So now for the next hour or two, the outflow boundary, the cooler thunderstorm area is pushing off to the west. So Vicksburg, you could see a thunderstorm, and the same would be the case in Port Gibson. And down in Natchez, you've already had a thunder shower for today. Here's a live look from Vicksburg. Doesn't look too bad, but just off to the east there, the clouds are building. And on our Windward Bluff sky cam, looking on the backside of those thunderstorms that are over western parts of Hinds County, there you can see some clearing right there. 95, 74, and only 0.04 of an inch of rain at the airport. But it did rain again at the airport. Somebody going out fishing for the evening. Winds are light, 82, 89. Probably won't see a thunderstorm over the reservoir, so he's looking good. Winds are light, but super saturated, super muggy. So I've updated the rainfall, but we're still about 0.4 of an inch from fourth place. Still a week to go in the month. Brutal days to finish out August. Super high humidity. Not much day-to-day change. The muggy weather, that dew point of 76 is miserable. 77 in New Orleans, and this is not going to change much. Dew point may drop a little bit for the weekend, but still it's going to be oppressively humid. Meridian was up to 97. A couple splash and dash showers around Hattiesburg. There's the real feel. It got to 110 in Vicksburg, and I've been talking about that this week. So tomorrow up in the 100 for the real feel by mid to late afternoon and staying there most of the day. Maybe a spot or two seeing an isolated storm. High pressure is over the southeastern states. Clockwise flow, so things that develop push off to the west. That's what's going on there. And that high continues to be the big weather influence over the next few days. Down in the tropics, things have not changed. We still have this tropical wave. It'll move across the Bahamas towards Florida over the next 5 days. It may or may not develop into much. It's plenty of time to watch it. A lot of folks are going crazy over social media, but it's very unorganized. Like I said, it's iffy whether or not it does develop. I'll be watching it, though. Summer steam, 76. We'll have those early isolated storms. 94 tomorrow. Isolated storms will pop up. Now, even though the trend is for storms to be few and far between each day, they should dot the radar late afternoon and evening. And a quick frog strangler possible under those storms. But there you see it, mid-90s. That takes us into the 1st of September.
Ah, David, I'm telling you, I was trying to get a wiggling 1-year-old into her car seat. Between the heat and the rain we had at my house today, a disaster.
Disaster. Right.
We need to get rid of this.
Well, you're going to have to wait a while.
I know. No patience for it. Okay, thank you. One of the Team USA swimmers who claimed he was robbed at gunpoint is now sharing his story about what actually happened that night. We'll have his apology when we return. You're watching 16 WAPT News. We are live at 5. Right now, rescuers are busy digging through the rubble for survivors of an earthquake in Italy that happened in central Italy. CNN is reporting more than 100 people dead tonight. ABC's Ray Ramundi shows us the rescue efforts.
As the sun sets in central Italy,
The desperate search for survivors continues into the night as first responders continue to pull people from underneath tons of rubble. The gut-wrenching images of those who perished, covered in blankets, children among the dead. This image capturing a nun sitting in front of one of those bodies. Sister Mariana describes her daring escape.
I tried to hide myself underneath the bed, and then I went outside to ask help, but no one heard me.
The town of Amariche, one of the hardest hit. Buildings which towered high above this hilltop town now disintegrated. Chunks of rock and concrete scattered everywhere.
There's nothing left standing. I'm so sorry for so many people that are under the rubble. They are people I love.
The 6.2 magnitude earthquake violently erupting in the middle of the night. More than 150 aftershocks and tremors felt along the length of the country. Pope Francis now asking for the world's prayers. This clock tower, the only iconic structure left standing in the town of Amariche. These before and after shots show just how much this town changed in a matter of seconds. The State Department is urging Americans in the quake area to call the embassy and to contact family members any way they can, including social media outlets. Ray Raymundi, ABC News, New York.
On to another developing story tonight, an attack on a university in Afghanistan, Tammy.
Yeah, what we know tonight, Megan, is that one person is dead and about 20 people have been wounded in that attack on the American University in Kabul. A police spokesperson suggested that terrorists got onto the property. No word on if they found the attackers as of yet. Well, U.S. Olympic swimmer James Fegan is apologizing for what he calls a serious distraction during the Rio Olympics. You see, Fegan was with Ryan Lochte and two other swimmers when Brazilian police say a gas station was vandalized. Fegan now admits to holding back on some of those details. We'll be right back after this.
Well, it is less than an hour and a half until Donald Trump is slated to take the stage at the Coliseum, Tammy.
Yeah, let's take a live look out at the Coliseum right now. You can see all those cars parked out there. Our own 16 WAPT's Ross Adams is out there in the parking lot. And, of course, we have our live cameras at the venue inside right now. People awaiting Trump to get on that stage, Megan.
Yeah, that's right. We will keep you posted on what is going on there. But let's talk about the weather. Those folks waiting at the Coliseum certainly got rained on earlier.
Yeah, but that's passed off to the west. Show you on radar. Those storms will threaten Vicksburg and Port Gibson. They're kind of moving from east to west. A lot of lightning with them, but they are building to the west towards the Mississippi River. Boy, oh boy. Mid-90s and oppressive heat, humidity. I'll talk more about it at 6.
That is some bad weather. All right, the Desert Press Live at 5. World News is next, and we're right back here, top of the hour.